39 days, 5 billion viewers, one ball. The 2026 World Cup starts June 11th, 48 teams, 16 cities, 3 countries. The biggest tournament in the history of the sport. Every goal, every save, every VAR decision comes down to this one object. But here's something that might surprise you. There's a chip inside it, a sensor that fires 500 times per second, tracking every spin, every deflection, every millimeter the ball moves, feeding live data to an AI that decides whether your team just scored or not. The ball retails for $170. It's built from exactly 4 pieces of material, and it started its life in a country ranked 202nd in the world. Pakistan doesn't play in the World Cup. They make the ball for it. How does the most advanced ball in sports history come from a place that's never even qualified? The first soccer balls were pig bladders, inflated, tied shut, kicked through English villages in the 1200s. They were lopsided. They burst on contact. Nobody cared. In 1855, Charles Goodyear figured out how to vulcanize rubber into a sphere. Round, predictable, bounceable. It transformed the game overnight. But here's the part nobody remembers. At the first ever World Cup final in 1930, Argentina and Uruguay couldn't agree on which ball to use. So they played the first half with Argentina's ball and the second half with Uruguay's. Argentina led at halftime. Uruguay won the match with their own ball. Now here's the kicker. The British Empire needed cheap labor for sporting goods. In Sialkot, a city in northeast Pakistan, craftsmen had been making saddles for the British military since the 1800s. When a British officer brought a punctured ball to a Sialkot shop, the leather worker didn't just fix it, he reverse-engineered the stitching and started making his own. That was 1880. Today, 70% of every soccer ball on Earth comes from that one city, 1,000 factories, 60,000 workers, 43 million balls a year. Cricket-mad Pakistan has never qualified for a World Cup, but they've been at every single one since 1970. Adidas has made every World Cup ball for 15 straight tournaments. Each gets a name, each gets a controversy. The 2010 Jabulani was the worst. Spain's goalkeeper called it a beach ball. England's David James called it dreadful. A boot designer said whoever made it should be taken out and shot for crimes against football. The ball was so light it knuckled unpredictably in the air, goalkeepers couldn't read its flight. Strikers couldn't trust their crosses, and coaches held press conferences just to complain about the ball. Adidas spent the next 16 years making sure that never happened again. Here's the thing nobody tells you. The Trianda isn't stitched, isn't glued, isn't made the way most balls are made? By hand. 3 a day, panel by panel in small workshops. It's thermally bonded. Heat and pressure fuse 4 polyurethane panels together at the molecular level. No thread, no seam gaps, no weak points where water gets in. 4 panels. That's it. The 2022 ball had 20. The Brazuca in 2014 had 6. The Trianda has the fewest in World Cup history. Fewer panels, fewer edges, less turbulence, straighter flight. Direct answer to every goalkeeper who ever cursed the Jabulani. But here's the thing. Every panel gets a texture pressed into the surface, hundreds of tiny raised patterns that look decorative but aren't. In rain, they channel water away from the contact point so the ball doesn't hydroplane off a player's boot. In dry crosswinds, they create drag in exactly the right places to keep the flight stable. Adidas tested this ball in 7 host cities: Vancouver's rain, Monterrey's heat, Mexico City's thin air at 2,200 meters, where a ball flies faster because there's less atmosphere to slow it down. Same ball, same behavior, every city. Now here's the wild part. One of the 4 panels carries a chip, a 500 Hz sensor recording position, velocity, spin rate, and trajectory 500 times per second. You can't feel it, you can't see it. Pick up the Trianda and it feels like any other ball, but the moment it hits the pitch, it starts broadcasting. 12 cameras track every player on the field. The chip tracks every movement of the ball. When a forward receives a pass and the flag stays down, here's what just happened in under a second. The AI matched the exact frame the ball left the passer's foot against the receiver's body position. It drew the offside line. It measured the gap down to centimeters. At the 2022 World Cup, this system overturned calls that human eyes got wrong. You saw it on screen, those animated lines appearing over the replay. The the referee pointing to his earpiece, the goal standing or vanishing. 2026 is the first tournament where that data comes from inside the ball itself. Then comes testing. Every single match ball gets inflated, weighed, measured, dropped. Weight, 410 to 450 grams. Circumference, 68 to 70 centimeters. Rebound, drop it from 2 meters. It bounces between 135 and 155 centimeters. Sphericity deviation, under 1.5%. The ball has to be equally round in every direction, not even slightly egg-shaped. One number off, rejected. The balls that pass get packed into climate-controlled cases and shipped to all 16 host stadiums across 3 countries. Each match uses multiple balls, rotated throughout the game so no single ball wears unevenly. Here's where the story flips. Every single World Cup ball in modern history has been hated before the tournament. Every one. The Fevernova in 2002, the Teamgeist in 2006, the Jabulani, the Brazuca, the Al Rihla. Players call press conferences to complain. Goalkeepers say it's unpredictable. Coaches blame it for bad results. Then the tournament starts, the goals come in, and by the final, nobody's talking about the ball anymore. 4 years later, those same balls sell as collector's items for double the original price. That pattern isn't an accident. Each generation gets rounder, smoother, faster. Fewer panels mean fewer seams mean less air resistance. The ball moves quicker off the boot. Good for strikers, bad for goalkeepers. Exactly what FIFA wants. More goals, more highlights, more viewers, bigger broadcast deal. The 2026 broadcast rights are worth nearly $4 billion. The ball isn't neutral. It's an entertainment product. Adidas pays FIFA for the exclusive right to make every World Cup ball, a deal spanning 56 years. The $170 match ball isn't where the money is. The replicas are. Millions of them, at every price point, sold in every country before a single whistle blows. By the time the final kicks off, the Trianda will have made more money on store shelves than it ever will on the pitch. So let's go back to that ball crossing the line in 13 days. You know it weighs less than a can of soda, but carries a sensor that can overrule a referee. You know every World Cup ball gets cursed before the tournament and collected after it. You know the same company has controlled what the world kicks for over half a century and designed every generation to fly a little faster than the last. The next time you watch a goal at this World Cup, look at the ball. It was built to make that moment happen. That's the process. We reveal how things actually work, one story at a time. If there's something you'd like us to explore next, let us know. Until then, trust the process.